What it comes down to is that my interpretation of my work is really immaterial. I mean, I'm not really a believer in art and music being institutionalized or put in galleries and stuff like that. I think art is something for the use of a public. It's for the public to interpret it and use it almost like a sustenance to life. So it's the interpretation of the listener or the viewer which is all important. Authorship is in question now.
Hello, space boy.
What Brian and I found that we were doing initially in March of '94 when we were looking for grist for the mill is dealing with all the subjects that interested us at that time. For my part, it was things like the re-emergence of neo-paganism and ritual body art and fragmentation of society, which is an ongoing thing that I've never moved away from. That plus the odd lyric that I'd been writing over the last few months. And all these things sort of became the fodder for what we were doing. And once we started actually evolving the piece, we realized that we had formed some kind of narrative, very loose, non-linear narrative with this small cast of characters. And there was a thread of a story that kept running into conflicts, like real life. There were no tidy endings, no tidy beginnings, and the whole thing was very messy. And we thought, well, that's as it should be, let's not clean it up. But it did give us the impression that this was an open-ended vehicle, that it would be, what a great thing it would be to keep working on these things right the way through to the end of the century and have more or less a kind of a diary ourselves in music and texture of what it felt like to be around at the end of the millennium. It would be so, wow, I mean, what an accomplishment, you know? And let's do it before anybody else does.
Same thing, same place.
By virtue of the fact that I'm getting older, has given me quite a scope on what I can draw from within my own catalogue of albums. I can take things from albums that I did 15, 20 years ago and taking something from, say, the 70s and putting it into the 90s. It's almost like the albums that I've done have become the palette that I can draw from. Each album is kind of a different colour. You know? I don't really have to go much to the outside at all for influence or a new inventive way of doing something. I just kind of look at my own stuff and utilize what I've done already. You know, it's there to be used. There's a similarity in the sense of there's a kind of angst that was in the late 70s albums. There's the dysfunctional city from Diamond Dogs makes a kind of an appearance. There's the mythical beast in the character of the Diamond Dog, but which is now reformed as the Minotaur. These set, almost signature things that I've written about over the years that are recontextualized now that they're put into this current piece that I've done with Brian. It's kind of exciting getting them all to where they're all speaking different languages. It's like these people have been away and they come back and they're Italian or something. Or Italian, actually in this case they're from New Jersey. New Jersey. When I was doing the characters in the early 70s, I think it was, there was some problem for me about whether they were stage characters or recreating aspects of my life and taking it on stage, or whether the thing was evolving on stage and I was then pulling it back into real life. And now I think what I'm doing probably to protect my own sanity is that, in a way, it's a precaution, I guess. Instead of inventing just one character, I've invented about 7 or 8, and I think it enables me to retain the guise of an author, but at least I don't identify with them. They sort of remain plastic, malleable creations that I can probably go with and take somewhere else on further albums. So there's a sense of distance now, and I like being in the situation of a narrator author. I think that's probably more comfortable there than actually inventing and being any of the characters that I create.
Stay away from the future, back away from the light, it's hard to rain.
Even though there's a very strong narrative and characters in this new piece, Outside, it really isn't what the album's about. The album is about atmosphere. It's about the sound of 1995. The narrative and the characters are really a kind of a skeleton. The content of the album is what's put on that skeleton, which is the musical texture. That's the flesh and the blood.
I don't think there's ever really been a time in the last 25 years making music and writing music that I haven't also painted. If I have any kind of a problem with the context of something, or if I come to a block and I can't go forwards anymore, I'll often revert back to the other medium. So often if the music side of things is bogged down, that I've got to this kind of impasse, then I'll go and paint it.